Okay, so we're going to make a data table for our accuracy and precision lab. The first thing we're going to do is open up a blank Google Sheets, and then we're going to read through the procedure, and we're going to figure out what kind of data that we need to add to our data table. So the first thing reads, place the paper target on the ground 1 meter in front of a chair, recorded in data table. So the first thing that we need to have in here, first of all, is what we're doing, and we're measuring distance from the bullseye, and we're going to measure it in centimeters. And then it read that we put a distance of 1 meter, so we have that in our data table. Then it reads, taped the target down, soaked the cotton ball in some water, tossed the cotton ball, used a marker to outline the spot that the cotton ball landed, labeled that trial 1, repeated total of 10 trials. Measured and recorded each trial. So if we have a total of 10 trials, we're going to put our 10 trials across the top here. And then we have our 3 participants, which in this case is Mrs. Fischbach, Mr. Mulholland, and Mrs. Stratton. When we gather all their data and measure it, I've already put that in for you right here. Then the next one reads, measured or calculated the average distance. So we have our average there. And now I wrote a function in order to do this. If you look at Mrs. Fischbach at 5.59, I didn't actually have to do that math. What I did, if you look up here in this bar, is you type in equals, and then you type in average, and I highlighted the number of cells that I wanted to take the average for. So now if I were to change any of that data, it would change it also in the average column. So I have our averages here. Then it reads, we switched partners and got everybody's data. Then we're going to work on part B, which is the distance of 2 meters away from the bullseye. Again, we're going to put our 10 trials in there. We're going to have our 3 participants. We're going to have our average, and we're going to get our data. And then our averages again. And again, I used a function to calculate my averages over here. So this is all of the data that we need, and I allowed Google Sheets to do the figuring for me. The next thing that we need to do is take this data to form a graph. So what I've done is, if we want to graph, most of the time what we're graphing, if we graph all of this, it's going to be a busy data table. So what we usually do is graph the averages. So if I slide over here, I have these boxes over here that I'm going to set up. I have to move my data around to get what I want to be in the chart. So I'm going to add my participants, and I'm going to say from 1 meter away from the target and 2 meters away from the target, and then fill in my average values. Now, what I did here, if you hit copy and paste, it's not going to read it. So again, I wrote a little tiny function. If you look up here again, I just said equals L3. So all that means is that whatever is written in L3, which is right here, is going to also be transferred right over here. So all of my data immediately goes all the way over here. So when I have this, I'm going to want to highlight it all and push chart. Now I've done some, move this down and over, and we can take a look at this chart here. It has title of accuracy and precision. Oops. I have Mrs. Fischbach, Mr. Mulholland, and Mrs. Stratton down here as labels. The y-axis is also labeled distance in centimeters. And then I have 1 meter away from target, 2 meters away from target. And you can see our data very clearly. So rather than having to look at all of the numbers in the data table, you can just simply look at the graph, and it gives you all the information that you need.